I'm Renata Kalniūnienė, Marketing Project Manager at MedDream. And today we have a joint webinar with our partners, Medical Templates. And we have via CEO Anika Uhde and CTO Peyer. And we are going to present via product integration with MedDream Viewer. And also today we have system integrator at MedDream, Marius Šadauskas. So great opportunity to ask integration related questions and get quick answer. So as you know, our webinars are being recorded and all the registrants will get registration in the registration emails, video recordings and presentations file after the webinar. I hopefully in a few days. And I invite you to write your questions during all webinar in the chat section. I'm going to collect all the questions, and in the end of webinar, we will try to answer. If we can't, we will put answers in the presentation file. So let's start. We have this agenda today: introduction and overview of MedDream and Medical Templates, product integration, and our company's successful collaboration. Also, our guest speakers are going to present Cube navigation system by Medical Templates, overview the process, how we successfully integrated MedDream and what goals it helped to achieve for them. And also the most interesting part, product demonstration and integration demonstration. And as I promised, we are going to have questions and answers in the end of the webinar. Yes, as I mentioned, today we have our system integrator, Marius Šadauskas. So don't hesitate and ask your questions. He is prepared to answer. And also, I want to present our guest speaker, Anika Uhde. She is CEO of Medical Templates and going to present via solution, via products, and via company history, and how the collaboration started with MedDream. And also via CTO, Peyer. He is going to be responsible for integration, technical part, and demonstration. So let's start. I will pass the word to our guest. Are you ready?
We are ready, Renata. Thank you very much for the introduction. I hope the slides are on.
Yes.
Perfect. And I hope you can also hear me okay.
Yes.
So great. First of all, thanks a lot for the introduction, Renata, and for the MedDream team to organize this exciting webinar. So we are very grateful for the opportunity not only to share our success story around the MedDream integration, but obviously also our solution, the Cube navigation system. Before I do that, a quick background on us as a company. So Medical Template was founded in 2015 by Stefan, a practicing neuroradiologist, and Raphael, who has a computer science background. And their ambitious goal and mission is to create intuitive devices really founded in the medical need and make them intelligent with software. And our first product, which really falls into the category, is the Cube navigation system. We are a team of 8. Most of us are located in beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. You see some of us here on the picture. That's not our office. That was during a team event at an escape room. We are a small yet mighty team. We have a lot of really crucial capabilities, crucial for a medical device startup in-house. So we have research and development in-house, mainly on the software development side. We have quality and regulatory and sales and marketing. What we outsource is manufacturing of our hardware, which is done in Germany. In 2023, so roughly 1.5 years ago, we launched our solution in Europe. That's when we received CE approval. And shortly after that, only roughly 1 year later, we have already FDA clearance for the solution. That's also because of the great work together with MedDream. So we are FDA cleared, and that's a big project for us, of course, now to enter the US market. And with that, I would like to dive in to share more about our solution. Just to set the scene, we are looking into a solution in interventional radiology. More precisely, the procedures we are targeting are CT-guided percutaneous punctures. Those could be pain therapy like infiltrations, needle biopsies on various organs. And one of our focus areas is in interventional oncology, mainly ablations, which is definitely an intervention which is on the rise. However, when we look into how those procedures are being performed these days, the main technique used is approximation technique. How does that work? So first there is a so-called planning scan done, then the radiologist plans how they would like to insert the needle or thin instrument with trajectory, which angulation, and based on that they insert the needle, and then they do with the CT scan a so-called control scan to understand where's the needle, is it the right trajectory, is there any correction needed, and this process is repeated until the target is being reached. Having said that, for more complex procedures like procedures which are off-plane or double angulated, or for physicians who might have less experience in those procedures, it can be a bit more challenging, leading to ineffective or prolonged procedures. Worst case, even repeat procedures if a target is not being hit. There could be a high number of control scans and also risk of complications, also when we look into procedures where the target is close to critical structures. So there is a need to optimize those procedures, and that's where solutions come into the market. And there is competition on the market. So there are solutions out there who address these challenges, navigation solutions. And I don't want to dive too much into the competition here, but just to summarize, and here are some examples, which you see also on the slides. What they all have in common is they really help with the accuracy of those procedures, but they don't necessarily simplify them. Why is that the case? Really tech heavy, often takes long to set them up. They need to be calibrated. They're difficult to learn. They change the clinical workflow. Many of them can only be used under general anesthesia, which excludes certain procedures from the start. And overall, given also the amount of tech which is required, they're expensive and require high upfront capital invest. As a result, it's very difficult for hospitals to justify investments like that. However, that's where we come into play. Our Cube navigation system addresses those challenges, and we have a great solution which really increases the accuracy for those procedures without the downsides of other systems. So that's how it looks like. It's a navigation system which fits in the palm of your hand. It has actually two components, which I will share in a minute. So it has a hardware component, which you see here on the picture, and a software component. That's where we worked with MedDream together. So the system is highly accurate, really helps with difficult, complex procedures. And it is faster than freehand. And I think that's really important for us, not only to be faster than other navigation systems, but really the standard of care. It's very easy to learn, and I can almost promise you after you've seen the presentation, you would feel comfortable operating it maybe yourself. It's calibration free, but what's also very appealing to customers is that it's purely based on a disposable. So these cubes, what we call them, is a single patient use accessory. So that means the model is purely based on consuming those cubes, or a so-called pay-per-use model. So it's linked to the reimbursement of hospitals when they do procedures, which makes it also very attractive and the threshold of adoption much lower. To share a little bit more about the system components. So as mentioned, we have a hardware, we call them the cubes. It's basically like a 2D grid, and we have two types of those cubes. One is white and one is blue, as you see here. The main difference between the two is the needle sizes they support. The general concept is the same, and they are both made smart with software, with our planning software. We'll dive deeper into that, so I will not touch too much on that now. And the beauty of our solution is it's very versatile. So it supports any thin instrument which fits through the navigation cubes in terms of the diameter, in terms of the gauge of the instrument. We currently support 10 to 20 G. And it can be used with any CT imaging modality, as we rely on the DICOM standard. So extremely versatile and can be introduced into the radiology department easily. So now comes the interesting part. How does it actually work? So the workflow, as I said, is we try to change it as little as possible. We have 4 steps roughly summarizing what needs to be done or how the process works. And the first one is the radiologist would place the navigation cube on the area of the intervention. You might see it here in the video. So those cubes have little sticky feet. With that, they are firmly attached to the patient's skin. Then a so-called planning scan is performed. That's a high-res scan in the CT where the target is on, the cube is on, so the whole area of the intervention should be on the scan, and that's actually what's typically done with or without the cube, so no change in the routine here. And now the magic happens, as I like to say. We send that planning scan via DICOM to our planning software. What the software does is 2 things. First, it recognizes this cube in the DICOM images, and with that, the exact location of the cube. And secondly, we offer a planning functionality for the radiologist. So they plan the intervention with a so-called virtual needle, which is this yellow line. You might see it faintly here, but we will have a software demo, so you will see it in more detail. So they plan the intervention, the depth, they define the target and the angulation, and based on that planned trajectory, the algorithm in the software calculates which holes to use in the upper plane of the cube and the lower plane, and then it's basically like playing battleships. So the radiologist takes those coordinates and inserts the needle through the upper holes in the cube and the lower parts holes in the cube, and with that has a perfect trajectory to reach the target accurately. And that's it, simple as that. I hope I haven't overpromised that you would easily understand our solution. To go a little bit deeper into why this MedDream integration is so important for us, I've mentioned already the core of our solution is the software, and it's built on a DICOM viewer. So we need the DICOM data. We import the studies directly from the PACS during the procedure. That means we didn't want to reinvent the wheel and build our own DICOM viewer, and MedDream was the perfect choice for us. As a next step, as I mentioned, we have developed a proprietary algorithm which scans in the DICOM files for the cube image. We have a certain fiducial marker check in there. So in the end, once that registration has happened, we know the exact location of this cube in the DICOM files. And the last important element for us, you will see it in the demo, is we have basically transformed the cross crosshair, which is the standard function in the MPR view, into a virtual needle. So with this virtual needle, a radiologist plans the intervention, and based on this crosshair location, where we of course also get the information for, we can then calculate with the exact cube position in the DICOM which holes to use or which coordinates to use through the cube in order to perform the puncture and meet the planned trajectory during the procedure. So Michael will explain it a bit more detail what we have actually done to achieve this. And with that, I would like to share a little bit of our data also supporting our use case and supporting our claims. So we have here some phantom data. We also have in vivo data in the making of a number of publications, which we expect to be published very soon. But what they all confirm is basically because we offer this the support in the trajectory, especially this first pass, that the interventions become more accurate and require less time because there's less corrections and less controls required. So just to summarize our solution in a nutshell, why do doctors and physicians in interventional radiology love it? So first of all, the solution makes procedures faster than freehand, which is the current standard of care, but also faster than other navigation systems, mainly because we don't need any setup and calibration. It's very easily accessible, the system, and can also be used across various CT rooms without much moving of equipment. But it's not only the physicians, the users who like it, also the head of the department or the purchasing department likes it because there's no upfront capital invest, is purely a pay-per-use, so it's really tied to the hospital's reimbursement. Ideally, the department could do more procedures per day because they require less time per procedure. Another way to look at it is really optimize also CT utilization in that sense that scheduling could be really optimized because interventions don't necessarily overrun, which could be often the case, especially when we see complex procedures. And lastly, of course, we would like to improve patient outcomes as well by providing higher accuracy of those interventions with fewer control scans and hence radiation dose. By higher accuracy, we can also reduce the number of potential repeat procedures or complications which could arise. And one point I would like to highlight is interventional radiology is really growing, and we see younger doctors entering the field, which is amazing. And with a navigational support like ours, we can guarantee less variances between operators, no matter their experience level. And that also adds, of course, to higher quality overall for those procedures. So that was our solution in a nutshell. And with that, I would like to hand over to Michael, who will share more around why we chose to work with MedDream and also some more practical insights, hands-on, to our planning software.
Thank you very much, Anika, for the introduction and the first part. And thank you for the MedDream team to host us here today. Give us the opportunity to present our solution and our success story with MedDream. I would like to start a bit going back to why did we actually approach MedDream, the team, and their solution and build out of it together something for medical templates. So medical templates has already established a software component that would allow to go us into clinics in Europe under MDD and MDR with another PACS archive viewer. However, was a very successful collaboration. It has a lot of advantages because in this case we used basically our backend, which is the algorithm to register the cube and to position the needle as integration into their software components. So they are basically a legal manufacturer. They are basically the ones who manage the distribution network there. And this means that it is low engineering overhead, low regulatory overhead for our side. However, it has a couple of downsides, and the two really challenges we had is that we had a divergent regulatory strategy, meaning geographically we had different interests for the, would say, short and midterm future. And obviously also not having our own solution is limiting in terms of how we can handle feature, how we can manage the release cycle, how we can apply bug fixes or patches to the software in the field. So the obvious solution is to establish our own proprietary software solution. That's what we decided to do roughly 2 years ago, and develop our own software as a medical device. With the consequences, meaning this needs more resources for the company and also is obviously a longer extended time to market than using something that is marketed and regulated through another company that is already established. So why did we decide to partner with MedDream? There were a couple of advantages we saw right away. One is that they were able to provide us with some of the core features that we could leverage that had already certified and cleared under MDR and FDA, which are very important for us. On the other hand, they have, by nature of the architecture, a very modular, compatible design that suited our tech stack. And they were obviously an experienced third-party provider to all sorts of other partners. I guess lots of them are in the audience present today. Now, how did the partnership look and how was the outcome we achieved? So basically what we had is the project started somewhere around January 2023 when we had internally the goal or the project start and actually started to look around for other partners also. MedDream was one of them. And very quickly we came across each other and evaluated the company and had an agreement already in May 23. And then right away the work started, and half a year later in November we had the first full integrated version as an alpha release that we were able to test in-house, but also externally with some mini usability studies we did in the US with radiologists from the States. And this was basically possible for two reasons. First of all, the core software part from our side, so the backend algorithmic part, that was still already there, as I said before. And on the other hand, to build the front end and the PACS interface, we relied heavily on the MedDream solution, which worked very well and was integrated very smoothly. So this allowed us to do this within a half a year. 2 months later, we've actually filed to the FDA, and further 2 months later, we had the clearance to go to market. From the result side, we had our first interventions done, I think, I'm not mistaken, 2 months ago. Anika traveled to the US a bit, is now a frequent traveler to the US, traveling up and down the coasts on both sides, doing interventions with their clinicians in the States. Focusing more on the MedDream solution integration, the integration was, as I said, very smooth. Obviously, optimization is still ongoing, so we are constantly improving the solutions. We have a very lean approach, as far as lean as possible in the medtech industry, but go with MVP and then stepwise improve the solution based on quality, features, and usability, also based on the feedback we have from the market and the users. The collaboration was extremely constructive, and it still is. So we, as I said, we are still want to improve the software, want to add new features. So there are a lot of requests we have, and we always get very timely responses to that. Feedback is very helpful, and we are very happy with the situation and the collaboration we have with MedDream. A little bit more about the technical background. I will not go too much into the detail, but just to give you some information, how we integrated it and what we're actually using. So for us, it's very important. What we basically need what we do is our core competence in the software is on one hand to detect the cube, and then to return to the user which coordinates to use with the needle through the cube. So things like the PACS interface to the PACS archive is not something that we actually want to do ourselves. So here we use the study search view from MedDream and also the interface to the MedDream to the PACS archive system of whatever system the hospital uses. And also the DICOM viewer, we use the MPR view, as you will see in a minute, is basically the HTML5 view you have from MedDream in their standard solution, accessed through the viewport core API of MedDream. This looks more or less like that, as I just said, from an architecture point of view. So to the left side, you have basically the main application, our solution, which is a proprietary web front end we developed in JavaScript. We will show you that also in detail in a minute. And then we have integrated the study search and the MPR view through the study search through iframes and the MPR view to the HTML window function from MedDream itself. The components, so our backend with the registration algorithm, the GUI itself, and also MedDream, they run on local servers, and the data is basically sent between these different servers on TCP/IP communication. And then, as I said, we interact with MedDream through the viewport core API. And everything together is then bundled into a native Windows application with help of Electron. So before we go into the demo, just some information for hopefully partners out there. Obviously, we're always open for commercial partnerships and distribution partnerships. But what we're also looking for, and especially more on the technology side, are obviously partners that could allow us, maybe even together with MedDream, adding to their core help in visualization of 3D tumors, tumor margins, and even more segmenting actually soft tissue, hard tissue, tumors, organ, vascular structures, automatically, semi-automatically, so that we can enhance and further improve the solution and the features for our clinical partners. If you're interested in that, feel free to contact MedDream or also our CEO Anika with the provided contact information. So now going into the software, I will switch the screen sharing. I will stop share in a minute and share my solution screen here. So I hope you can all see the Cube Navigator now. Basically, you have 4 tabs on the top. This is the landing page or the starting page, whatever you want to call it. It has like the different manuals on it for help information. You can go through, and there's also a quick guide that guides you through the solution in case you need it for some information in terms of how to use the whole solution, software and the cubes. And as Anika already mentioned, there are 2 different cubes. We have the puncture cube and the axis cube. Then one of the core features, as I said, is basically the DICOM interface. So we have a tab where you have to connect to add the configuration for the DICOM interface to connect to the PACS archive server of your local clinic. And then we have this search view from MedDream where you basically can browse your PACS archive. In this case, I only have like 4 studies in there. However, you can easily search, in this case, for example, for the test cube. So we integrated this functionality. You could also search, not only search, but you can also sort the different studies in different orientation. And then by selecting one, I selected now the test cube from before, you can load the data. So for example, if we take this patient here, we can access the data from the PACS archive system through MedDream and then load the series of this study into our into our local software, and have here this, I already mentioned before, the MPR view. On the top, you see the toolbar. We have a certain of functionalities integrated. Basically, the front end is done by ourselves in JavaScript, but then we access basically through these functions. Like, for example, the windowing, we access the MedDream functionality through the Viewport Core API. So you can change the windowing to your needs. Basically, you can also zoom in and out. You can use certain measurement functions that are already provided by MedDream, which is the big advantage. So we don't have to revalidate and verify these functionalities as they are the back end of MedDream. So we just have to show that the integration is properly, but not do full verification on that. And then you can also obviously move the stuff around, pan a little bit to your wishes, and yeah, so that's available as the MPR view in the HTML integration. You can not only load data from the DICOM, you can also load data from your local file system. Works very smooth. For example, this patient case here, this study, you can load it directly from your file system. And then now with this study, we would also go a bit more into the clinical use case. So in this case, we have the puncture cube instead of before when we saw the access cube in this data set. So then we can call by clicking on the registration, we can call the backend and register the cube. In this case, the software has correctly registered the puncture cube. This is a very important step here. It's a risk mitigation step. We highlight the found cube overlaid to the scan data in order for the radiologist to assess the quality of the registration, which is more than sufficient in this case here. And you have basically also the ability to see, for example, here on the right side, which matches are not sufficient to look for which features in the scanned and registered cube by comparing them and seeing that this is not sufficient for your application. But in this case, that's more enough. So we continue to then the last step, which is the needle planning. And now you see, as Anika showed before already, the yellow needle is basically one part of the crosshair. So we use the crosshair to guide the needle to a certain position. In this case, for example, I can move it down to this position here. Can also angulate it to my wishes so that I have the access to my target point, which are basically what I need from a clinical point of view. And on the bottom right, you see then the updated coordinates of the needle trajectory going through the two plates of the cube, basically telling you from a user standpoint, hey, I have to use in A coordinate 1D, have to use this corner of this hole on the top layout, and on the bottom layout in coordinate 5G, I have to use the other coordinates to actually then guide my needle so that I will end up at this point I selected here through the crosshair. And one of the features we also have is basically a feedback on the needle length. So you have here on the right side, you see that you have 16.6 centimeter length of the needle from the bottom plate going into the patient, and then from the upper plate another 5 centimeters in this case, because it's fairly straight through the cube. So yeah, this is the integration how it is today. This is the software that is cleared for FDA and MDR and is in use in the US. Based on that, we obviously now, as I said before, extend the functionality. So we will provide more clinical valuable features, such as the ability to see compare control scans and planning scans in the software very intuitively, and also going more a bit into the direction of ablations, multi-needle planning, you can plan multiple needles, you can show, and so you can segment the tumor, show ablation margin, show the margins of the ablated tumor, and have like a quality control. These are like the features we are going into right now. Yeah, so that's it from the demo side. I will stop share here, and I think we will go back to Renata for the questioning Q&A section.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for presentation. Thank you for demonstration and all the explanation. I think it was very interesting and not as usual in our webinars. Interventional radiology product. So I'm going to share the questions we got before the webinar. You see my screen, yes? Okay. So the first one, what kind of procedures do you see the solution most commonly being used for in the field?
So if you don't mind, I would take that question. Thank you, Renata. I think it's a very valid question. So as said, I think the largest value is received using that solution when it is used in a complex procedure. What we define by complex is a double angulated access route, which can be actually the case in many of those procedures presented, like biopsies or ablations. However, giving also the size of the needle and also the overall reimbursement of the procedure, which of course is a factor as well by adding new tech or for adding new tech by the physicians. We do see it used most in ablations. So thermal ablations, microwave, cryoablations, and so on. And another additional feature the solution has for ablations apart the navigation function. It can also act as a needle holder, which is a valuable feature, especially during ablations, which sometimes have top-heavy equipment or tubes at the antenna of the ablations, and then having more stability for the antenna when it's inserted, that's a huge benefit as well. So to make it short, we do see it mostly used in ablations.
Thank you. So I'm going to read next question. Are there any plans to broaden the product offering on the software or hardware side?
Yes, I take this one. So hardware side, we have ideas. There is a potential for also new indications, but development cycles for hardware are very long, and so we are currently focused more on the software features and product offerings that we would extend. And is as Anika said just before, as most value comes right now out of ablation, complex ablation use cases. We are planning and working on enhancing product offerings for the ablation use cases, especially for multi-needle planning in the case of cryoablation, but also general features for ablation, such as the tumor segmentation and the segmentation of the ablation margin, so that you can actually post ablation verify how successful the procedure was, where do you have to re-ablate, or can I just push forward with my procedure. And also what we are looking into, we don't want to lose our cutting edge innovation spirit. As said before, this was set up by Stefan and Raphael to have innovative solutions. We are looking now or collaborating with one of the university partners in Switzerland to also add AR in the long run to our solution. There will be a nice paper in our next Congress we are going to that is presented for this, and we'll try to build there a long-term project to increase the product offering on this side.
Thank you. So next question. Are you open to industry partnerships?
I guess we have already mentioned it. We are very open to industry partnerships, be it on the commercial side, distribution side, or any sort of commercial partnerships. But as Michael has elaborated also on the technical side, we have, I would say, a very full roadmap with great ideas and innovation coming. Yeah, we would always like to tap on existing knowledge like we did, of course, also with MedDream. So we are very open for partnerships. So please reach out to us if you see an area of collaboration.
Thank you so much. You shared the slide with the contacts, so I'm sure our attendees or our watchers who is going to watch video recording will contact with some great ideas. And another question we got, it's I'm going to answer this. Our registrant asked, I won't be able to attend the meeting, but I would like to have access to the recording. Is that possible? So yes, it is possible. All our webinars, technical trainings being recorded, and all the registrants will get video recording first. And after a few days, we publish them for all the people who are subscribing our YouTube channel or checks our website. So I don't see any questions during live presentation. So I guess your presentation was very informative. So nobody has any more questions. Or if we have more details, we will contact you later. And I hope Marius is not very disappointed to not getting any questions about MedDream integration. So
Yes.
let's meet. Let's meet in the end of September, because we are having technical training with Marius. So check our news, check our newsletters. It's about Centipacks. So he will have plenty of time for presentation and answering your questions. So I'm going to the next slide, and this is closing one. I will use this opportunity to invite you guys who is going to be in Barcelona this week. MedDream team will be there, and this time for MedDream for ophthalmology, specific features for ophthalmologists, ophthalmic images. So we will be waiting, step by our booth. So thank you so much for our partners, for Anika and Mikael. It was very interesting, very informative. Thank you, guys. And thank you for all the registrants who could attend, who could not attend. And you will receive a video recording and also presentation file. So thank you very much. Have a nice day or evening, and see you on our next events. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.